This is a video to the British government. The chance that they'll see it, next to none. Maybe if you share this around, this might reach the people that it needs to. But because I feel this is something I care about enough, I should do my bit and put this out into the world. Whether it does nothing or does something, well, that's a question for fate. This new legislation that's been brought in that requires people to submit ID and different forms of identification to view content online that may be considered adult may have great intentions. Benefit of the doubt, let's be real, probably doesn't have great intentions, but it could have great intentions. And the overall ideology that we're at least being told about is that there are good intentions behind it all, and I can respect that. But so far, we're just over 24 hours since this has been implemented, and I've just spent the past 3 or 4 hours scrolling through the internet to figure out what sites are implementing this and how it's being implemented. Now, of course, asking people to submit videos of themselves, a copy of their driving license or passport, all of these things are general data breaches that myself and you guys watching and anyone working in the government would be very hesitant to do. Now, when the government decided to implement this, you would have thought that because obviously we are a small island, but we're still 70 million plus strong, you would have thought that they'd have some sort of plan, some sort of strategy. Because let's be honest, you, me, the government, no one really wants to be submitting their passport or driving license on the internet to a site where they just maybe want to read an article that contains the word penis. But how do I know that website I'm on is collecting my data for good reasons? How do I know that they are just verifying my age? Well, firstly, I don't think they should be collecting that data anyway. I'm totally against this legislation. But already we're seeing signs of websites abusing this. Websites pretending to be other websites, spoof websites, slight changes in URLs, and they are collecting people's passports, driving license, photos, biometric data. This has already been abused within 24 hours. To be clear, within 24 hours, people have managed to build, recreate, model sites and utilize it to scam people. Imagine how sophisticated this would be in a couple of days, a week, a month, a year. It is impossible to know where we're sending pictures of our passports. I've just got to hop back into this in the edit here. As recording this video, I've been sent many different links from Google. People's driving licenses are appearing on Google Images now. Loads of websites are either being hacked or the information is getting leaked, or they're just scam websites that are trying to sell this data online. There is hundreds of thousands of results for this that have all appeared within the last 24 hours from different websites abusing this. This, by the way, isn't on the dark web. This is on surfaced internet. This is the internet that everyone can access and go and see. Imagine how bad this is right now on the dark web. It's impossible to regulate this. And it's also been brought into effect by people that do not understand the internet. If you look at the co-signatures of the bill, the average age between the co-signatures is 68 years old. Now, I'm not saying that they're less intelligent because of their age. No, of course they're not. I could learn a lot of things from the people that implemented this bill, as could many people around them. These people have lived and they are very knowledgeable clearly on things like laws. But the one thing that they clearly know fuck all about is the internet and how the internet has evolved and changed and how cybercrime works. A lot of the stuff that is currently being legislated is being implemented by people that aren't from this era. They're not from the internet era. They're not from this scam era. And I mean this with all due respect to people that are 50, 60, 70 plus. I mean this with all due respect. Internet culture, internet memes, new cyber scams, new crimes that appear on the internet, it's stuff that even me as someone in their late 20s, I get caught out on. People get caught out on because it's becoming so evolved. It's already hard enough to manage email addresses and passwords being stolen. When you're now requiring any sites that are, for the most part as well, getting falsely flagged as adult-only sites, when you're required to send your passport or private or confidential information, you are opening up a wormhole that you do not want to open up. I give it maybe 2 months before there's a massive data breach, a huge data breach. As it is, with our iPhones, for example, we have Face ID, which scan our phones. Now, obviously, a load of people have mistrust in Apple for that, but I personally am a lot more comfortable with trusting a company that spends more money on security than the GDP of most countries to handle that data. Now, it's not perfect. It's definitely not perfect, but in the history of Apple being out there, we've not had a single leak of that information because that information, the biometric data, our face scans, is held on the devices not by Apple. It's localized. And that has been tried, tested, approved, and it's impossible for any hack that takes place at an Apple head office to get hold of that biometric information. But when you're dealing with not just one company, when you're dealing with thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of companies, some that we don't even know are legit. If you are Googling, I don't know, I have an itch on my neck and that website contains things that may be considered adult in nature, you're then submitting your private information to a website just to read the contents of it, to then realize and be able to make a decision whether that website is a scam. Just for some more context around this, when browsing a website, we judge the authenticity by a 3/3 rule. First third is context, second third is information, the final third is kind of a resolution. Websites are designed that way, and we can tell that by visiting the site. But if we have to hand over all of that information just to find out whether it's a scammy website packed full of ads that might not actually be collecting our data for well-intentioned means, we're already too far gone. According to the report that was published by the BBC yesterday, 14 million people in the UK consume porn. Now, the amount of people that actually access content that may be considered for adults outside of that, because we're not just talking about one particular thing here, we're talking about the whole category of adult content, which includes things that are being falsely flagged, and we've seen it on social media. I can guarantee that 14 million probably becomes somewhere between 30 to 50 million. The internet has a varied balance of content, but how do we actually address that? Because I will agree and I will concede to you, the government, that there is a problem. There is a problem. Young children are watching content that is inappropriate for them. They are. I've heard about it from people that I know are teachers that are telling me about some of the conversations that some young boys are having in classes, and it's inappropriate. So how do we actually address it? Well, very simple. My internet provider is EE, Everything Everywhere. They're currently, British Telecom, they are the biggest internet provider in the UK, one of the most popular. Now, in terms of internet providers in the UK, it comes down to the big four internet providers in the UK. Every single one of them have an app that if you're the account holder, you can go on there, you can turn on parental guidance, and straight away, adult content will not go through that household's internet. Now, of course, there's ways to circumvent that. VPNs, if you're a parent and your child is 13 years old, just go to their settings on their phone, set up parental content. Straight away, they can't allow a VPN onto the phone. When you install a VPN, you have to add it in to the configuration settings on the phone. If they're not the account holder, if the parent's the account holder, they can't get a VPN on the phone. That's how we protect children. Run adverts on the BBC for 2 weeks, every news broadcast, all over TV, all over social media. Spend basically next to nothing to make parents aware of how to combat this. It's not difficult. It's genuinely not difficult. To turn on parental guidance on my internet connection takes about 20 seconds, and 15 of that is me trying to find my phone first. But the government won't do that. The British government will not do that, because it's the most easy, simple, and logical thing to do, and the only reason that they wouldn't do it is because there's another agenda. Now, I hate seeing my internet browser full of conspiracy theories. I look at them and think, oh, you're either a far left lunatic or far right lunatic. I'm one of the people that laughs at social media. I'm one of the people that thinks it's all bollocks and everyone's crazy. I've been very vocal about that. In fact, my original content on this channel was debunking flat earthers. I think conspiracy theories are the cancer of ideology on social media. But this isn't a conspiracy theory. If the desired end result here is to protect children, introducing this Internet Act, this Online Safety Act, is not a logical thing to do at all. It doesn't protect children. Just to make this very clear, the method I just discussed of turning on parental controls is pretty much 99.8% foolproof. If you go into the settings of the phone and you go into the network provider app, your kid can't get around that. They're just not going to be able to get around that as long as you've got the password. With this whole internet censorship bullshit, where they, for some reason, need to know all of our personal information before we whack it off on the internet, with that, all people have to do is download a VPN and nothing changes. Nothing at all changes. So the only difference between doing things safely on this and doing the option that the UK government has gone for is that in the option that the UK government's gone for, it doesn't work and they get all your private data. There's no logical reason to go the route that they've gone for this, and it's genuinely absolutely terrifying. This argument has come up a lot over the years. It's more time. I mean, I'm not young, I'm not old. I'm in my late 20s, so I'd say I'm probably closer to being young. I remember being a young kid and seeing on the news that someone was trying to ban ground Grand Theft Auto, Jack Thompson. And the reason for that was very simple. It's way easier to ban it because it protects children. Just banning Grand Theft Auto games protects children. Sort it, problem solved. Now, that whole thing was thrown out of court on multiple occasions because the US and the UK governments decided that parents should be parents and they should be parenting their kids. If the game is designed to be a mature game or an 18 plus game, it's not up to the game's developers to decide whose hands that falls into. In the case of internet providers and website holders, it's still up to parents to be parents. So why is the UK government saying one rule for this and another rule for that? But with games, the government wouldn't be able to track anything we do. But with this, the government can. Now, something that I very briefly just want to gloss over and touch on is obviously we've seen from earlier in the video that people's driving licenses are already being made available online. And this is only after 1 day. But there's also a massive glaring national security risk that I've barely seen anyone talk about apart from one person who commented it on my latest video. The fact is if you are a Russian government operative, right now you can go online and for the grand total of about $15, you can build a fake website, you can put some fake articles on there, you can say that a famous person's nude material has leaked. Of course, that would generate clicks. You can even run some Google ads behind it to try and get some traffic to it. Obviously, you can host that site in the US or the UK or wherever you want. And as people sign up to it, that is a foreign government collecting data from UK citizens, and that could all be done in the best part of maybe 40 minutes to an hour, and it can be done by anyone. What the government have introduced is a monumental security risk, and they don't need everyone's data. They need one MP's. They need one person in a position of power, one lawmaker, one person that owns a company to get blackmailed with that information and have that spread all over the internet. Now, as of making this video, the government has still not made any official statements about what their plans are for this or how they plan to make this safer. If I have to summarize everything we've just gone through and what my actual thoughts are on this, the government have said that this is about protecting children whilst introducing a police state. This is not acceptable. This is absolutely absurd. I'd say it's dystopian, but it's not dystopian. It's now and it's happening. For now, the only thing we can do, and I mentioned this in my last video, obviously as a channel, I work with private internet access or a VPN provider, and you can save some money by using the link below. I'm not being paid to say that, by the way. It's an affiliate link, so I'll get a commission, full transparency. But that's the only thing that has actually worked to get around all of this. Using a VPN and setting yourself as a different country, you can get around it. But then this comes down to precedent. Now the UK has implemented it, the US will be next. Other countries in Europe will be next. It'll get to the point where you'll be switching your VPN to Antarctica. I think this is genuinely concerning. This shit needs to end soon. All right, I think that about does it. And yeah, I'm off.